Hello, everyone. Today, I wanted to talk about something different. I've usually talked about current events or current geopolitical events or even wars. But today, I wanted to talk about whether or not a less well known candidate in the Florida governor election can win. Today, I will be discussing whether or not Bobby Williams can win the 2026 Florida governor election. Now, Bobby Williams has been running since, I think, October of 2025, and he's been a less known candidate because you have big names like Brian Donalds, Jay Collins, and James Fishback running. But today I wanted to talk about Bobby Williams and whether he has a chance or not. So let's go to his About page on his website. Now, it says here that Bobby Williams is a third generation Florida native. He's married to his wife of 25 years. He's a dad to his daughter. He loves the outdoors, likes to hunt, and is not a career politician. He's a working man with a long record of showing up for the people. For the last 10 years, Bobby has been hands on in communities throughout Florida. Communities across Florida through the Freedom Tour. It started small with a few families that needed help. It grew because Bobby kept doing the work when the cameras were gone and the hype was gone. He learned something simple that most leaders forget. People do not need more talk. They need someone who will move. A listener, not a performer. Bobby's not the type to dominate a room. He listens first. He asks questions. He pays attention. He does not use political lingo. He does not talk down to people. He does not try to make anyone feel small so he can feel big. If you have been around politics, you know how rare that is. That also connects to how he handles pressure. Bobby does not get rattled. He stays steady. He does not chase drama. He does not take the bait. When things are tense, he gets calm. That's not a slogan, but that's how he lives. Built to work with people who disagree. One of the biggest things that Bobby learned through ministry is how to work with people who do not all think the same. He has worked alongside Catholics, Baptists, Pentecostals, and many others. Different backgrounds, different styles, different views, same goal: save people. That matters because politics works a lot like churches. People can sit around for years and talk about what is wrong. They can argue over tiny differences. They can choose sides and never solves anything. Bobby has had enough of that. He respects people, he listens, then he moves. Kind, but direct. Bobby is not soft. He is truthful, but he is honest. He will tell the truth even if it is unpopular. He will not hide behind fancy words. He will not say what people want to hear just to be liked. He would rather be clear than be praised. He also believes you should never use truth as a weapon. So he does not insult people to make a point. He does not use fear or shame to control a room. He speaks straight, then gets back to work, not for sale. Bobby cannot be bought. He never built his life around favors. He does not move based on pressure from donors, insiders, or special interests. He answers to the people, not the system. If you want someone who can influence with money, he's the wrong choice. Florida is home. Florida is not a stepping stone for Bobby. It is a home. It is family. It is history. He cares about what happens to the state because he plans to live here, work here, and watch his daughter's future unfold here. If you want polished politics, Bobby is not your guy. If you want a steady leader who listens, tells the truth, and gets things done, you will understand him fast. So basically, from his campaign platform, you can see he is not an establishment politician. In fact, he hasn't held any office. But he does have experience with helping people, helping his local community through the Freedom Tour, which he basically helped to give food to hungry people and people who couldn't afford food. So he's basing that experiences on his platform to run for governor. And his entire platform is saying, hey, I'm not a politician, but I have experience with helping others, and people are tired of politicians, and I'm against politicians being bought out. I'm against big corporations, and I'm saying we need to let the people be truly in charge. Now, he's running a similar campaign to Casey Putsch, who is running for governor in Ohio. And if you've seen Casey Putsch, you can see that he's also tired of billionaires and special interests getting into politics. And he wants the people to truly be in charge. And this is something interesting in the Republican Party because Republican Party, it often gets, called, or many people think the Republican Party is just for rich people and not for working class people, but people like Bobby Williams and Casey Putsch in Ohio, they're doing their best to try to, tell people that, hey, the Republican Party is still for working class people, and we got to run against the special interests, run against, the billionaires and the people who just want to influence politics through their money. Now, let's see here. Bobby Sands. God-faced. I believe in putting God first in all things. My values are rooted in Christian principles, emphasizing love, humility, accountability, and service. I reject lawlessness and embrace conservative ideas that uplift family, personal responsibility, and the value of being a blessing to others. True leadership is not about talking, it's about doing, showing up and putting the needs of others before ourselves. Community matters, and it is our duty to care for one another. Preserve Florida. Protect waterways and land. Florida is growing rapidly, but our infrastructure has not kept pace. We must prioritize infrastructure improvements before allowing large-scale housing development. Roads, utilities, schools, and emergency services must be prepared to protect our communities. At the same time, we must protect Florida's natural beauty, our land, the Everglades, pasture lands, and waterways. Florida should not be a concrete jungle. Sustainable development is not about growth, it is about preservation, ensuring our land remains our legacy. If you can hear a car in the background, sorry to interrupt, but that's just my neighbors. I'm not sure if you can hear it or not, but I don't want it to interrupt the video too much. But anyways, continuing, we have education. Education should prepare our students for life, not just standardized tests. We must shift away from excessive testing and return to teaching real-world schools, strengthen trade programs, and provide career pathways for students who don't pursue college, allow teachers to teach while reducing unnecessary bureaucracy and micromanagement. We examine school discipline, safety policies, creating classrooms where students feel and teachers feel safe, supported, and respected. So far, you can see he's not about, big money or big corporations. He wants to preserve Florida. He doesn't want people to keep moving into Florida, because what's happening now is developers in Florida are making a lot of money by building new housing, building new things, but Florida, the native infrastructure has not kept up pace, and that's why you see all this congestion, all this, this rapid growth without the infrastructure being already there. So already you can see that Bobby Williams isn't going to get, donations from big developers or big corporations, because he's completely against that. He's for the people, and he's running a grassroots campaign. But anyways, continuing with this platform is housing. Every Floridian deserves a safe and a stable place to live. We need affordable housing options for working families and individuals struggling to make ends meet. Support for tiny home communities as pathways to home ownership. Policies that allow people to break the cycle of renting and invest in home ownership. A reevaluation of property taxes on homesteaded properties to keep housing affordable for long-term residents. So for housing, he's basically saying that, we need more people to be able to own homes. We need to break the cycle of renters, and we need to, change the system. And, the cycle of renters will only get worse if more people move to the state of Florida. And that ties into being against, overdevelopment. The less people that move here, the less that prices will keep increasing. Prices of rent, prices to live, prices of, the local grocery store. And he's being, again, for the people, not for big corporations trying to make a profit. But let's go to agriculture. We cannot afford to sacrifice our farmland for development. Agriculture is vital to Florida's identity, economy, and food security. We must protect our agricultural land from overdevelopment, support and empower local farmers to remain stewards of the land, ensure Florida maintains the ability to grow its own food and sustain its communities. And again, he's talking about Florida, real Florida. protecting the fields, protecting, agriculture, and he doesn't want, buildings to be built on top of the agricultural land that Florida needs. And he's about protecting the fields, the farms that Florida has. Disaster relief. Disaster response should be swift, strategic, and centered on those most affected, not on media appearances. We must ensure that relief resources go directly to areas in need, not just where the cameras are. Give state-run programs, nonprofits, and emergency operating centers, EOCs, the authority and tools to respond efficiently and effectively. Promote a culture of showing up, because during a crisis, presence matters more than promises. So we see here from his entire platform, he's anti-establishment, he's pro the common man, he's already basically a blue-collar worker, and he's telling everyone, hey, I'm not a politician, I'm just a guy that wants this system to be changed. I'm not about big money. I want the system to work for us, not for us to work for the system. Now let's go to Wikipedia, and we'll see exactly who he's running against. So he's running as a Republican. I don't know if I said that already, but again, he's running as a Republican, and you can see all of his opponents. The first one listed here is Charles Baker. He's the mayor of Surfside, Florida, and a side tangent, that is the same Surfside that had the building collapse a few years ago. And then there's Jay Collins, the current Lieutenant Governor of Florida. He has probably the second largest media presence other than Brian Donalds. And Brian Donalds has been endorsed by the president, Donald Trump. And he is a front runner in this race, but just because he's the front runner doesn't mean the race is decided yet. Then you also have James Fishback. He's a newcomer to politics. He's only around 30 years old. And James Fishback is very popular with young people, the Generation Z. Then you have Paul Winter. He was a former Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives from 2022 to 2024. And he put his hat in the race for governor as well. Then finally you have Bobby Williams, who I already talked about. So can Bobby Williams win with this list of candidates running against him? I would say yes, but it's not going to be an easy fight. The greatest challenge that Bobby Williams has faced right now is James Fishback. It's not Jay Collins or Brian Donalds, even though they have a much larger media presence than him. James Fishback is his greatest threat because James Fishback is anti-establishment as well. He is siphoning the younger generation's hatred and distrust of the establishment, and he's running a platform that has many similarities to Bobby Williams' platform. So Bobby Williams will have to distinguish himself from James Fishback. He will have to get his name out there more, which he struggles to do on platforms like X, but Bobby Williams does have a large presence on Facebook. So again, it's going to be a very difficult uphill battle for him to go against Fishback, but if he does manage to, get his name out there, I think people will choose Bobby Williams over James Fishback, because James Fishback does have flaws in his campaign. He sometimes says some things that are, unnecessarily, what's the word? Just inflammatory. Like he called Brian Donalds a slave. He says some things that, that are edgy, and the younger generation might like that, but the older generation might not be so on board with that. So if Bobby Williams can just show himself as a man that is anti-establishment, but also is a man with morals, is a man who doesn't use under-the-belt attacks, is a man who is for the people, but also is for civility and humility, he has a serious chance to win. Now, there hasn't been any major debates of the Republican primary of Florida in the governor election. I'm not sure when the debates will be scheduled, but I do know if Bobby Williams is able to get on the debate stage, his following is going to explode because people are tired of overdevelopment. They're tired of the big corporations just coming in and keep building and building and building while ignoring native Floridians, and they're tired of how fast Florida is growing. So if Bobby Williams can get on the debate stage, his platform will explode in popularity. He will likely start leading in the polls, and people will find out about him even more. Now, if that can lead him into, gaining momentum in the polls, he has a serious chance of winning if he's able to get on the debate stage. But if he isn't, then his chances are going to rapidly dwindle. So Bobby Williams, right now, his campaign needs to focus on getting his name more well known, and secondly, getting on the debate stage. If he gets on the debate stage, I guarantee you, his campaign will explode and he will lead in the polls because people are tired of the current Republican establishment in Florida. But I just wanted to leave the video there. What are your thoughts? Do you think Bobby Williams can win as governor of Florida or not? And I thank everyone for watching this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.